What to do with my hands?
I don't know what you do with your hands. Anyway, welcome everybody to the Business Podcast, where we pour out weekly business lessons week after week after week after week. I'm here with a previous guest,
I'm looking for him. Who's
Joshua Davidson. How you doing, sir?
Good. It's chaotic right now. You're like, this is behind you. It's like the setup.
Yeah,
they're
getting ready for. We don't have a copy of your book. Where's your book?
Actually, hold on.
I'll do double duties. Anyway, I'm Super Joe Pardo for anyone who doesn't know, and I interview awesome people like this gentleman right here, and he has a brand new book. Holy crap, this is big. He has a brand new book, his first book.
Yeah.
The Entrepreneur's Framework. Where's the subtitle? How businesses are adapting in the new economy. And you know a lot about it. I mean, if you haven't listened to your episode, you should go back and listen to it. And I was meaning to look up the episode that you were on. It wasn't that long ago.
Episode number, fill in the blank.
Check in the show notes. I'll link it there.
You like edit over it?
Below. This thing is, I could kill somebody with this thing.
That was the goal, actually.
You
have to write a book, it has to be a lethal weapon at the same time.
That is a lethal weapon for sure, right there. So it's available on Amazon. Anywhere else?
It's in select bookstores as well.
In select bookstores. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we're here in Philly. Is this considered Fishtown or
no?
Right next
so
to?
this is, what is this considered?
This is in North Philly?
North Philly.
This is considered North Philly, and we're at Open Space. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, so the venue's called Open Space.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so tell people about your book, and then we'll catch up on what's been going on.
So long story short here, the book is actually 3 years in the making. What happened is back in 2013, 2014, I almost imploded ChopDawg. We kind of talked about it briefly on the podcast where
now you're
went
saying
into
that.
a failed startup, wasted every dollar, college dropout, and I wanted to identify if I'm going to be an entrepreneur for the long term. What's sustainable as an entrepreneur, right? Like, what's like the principles? What's like in essence the framework that you could apply to the longevity of being an entrepreneur? And I reverse engineered hundreds of entrepreneurs that I picked their brains, that have just crushed it, and came up with 8 principles, which then I reverse engineered into my own actionable plan actually first, that helped build ChopDawg to the company it is today, and then translates to this book where hopefully everyone else can take the same lessons I learned and apply to my day-to-day entrepreneurial behavior for their bigger picture and can kick some butt.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so walk me through what's the first chapter to the last chapter.
So it's actually, the book's broken into 2 parts. So it's broken into then why and then how. So I use an analogy like basketball, where
I know you're a big sports guy. If you weren't watching the first episode,
how many people do you know where they if they can make awesome free throws or layups, they think they're ready for the NBA? No one, right? Because the NBA has so much more complexity to it. The gamemanship, the competitorship, the actual rules of the game. But in entrepreneurship, a lot of people think, oh, I'm good at sales, I can be an entrepreneur. Or, oh, I'm good at managing people, I can be an entrepreneur. It's like mastering a free throw or layup. So I actually use the first part of the book, which is talking about the new economy. That right now it's never been easier to build a business, and at the same time it's never been easier to fail. And the idea is that both having the perspective and awareness of how fortunate and lucky we are right now to be able to build a business and how easy. Like I started ChopDawg with $10, right? Like that's crazy. We've done millions of revenue since, off of a $10 investment, if you think of it that way, right? But it's easier to fail, and it's also the talent disparity in entrepreneurship. So that's the first section of the book. Then going into how, breaking the 8 principles. So the 8 principles the book goes into, it starts with self-awareness, then empathy, then leadership, then short-term thinking, then long-term thinking, then economics, then operations, then purpose. And I might have skipped leadership, but leadership's in there as well. So those are 8 principles in the book.
I know. Look, writing 4 books myself, I know it's hard to remember all the things.
The order. It's like the order. You have to remember how you put it.
Dude, people will start quoting your book to you, and you'll be like, did I say that? I don't remember if I said that.
The cool thing, and I don't know if it'll show up in camera, but like the framework's
actually
actually
get it close enough.
It's actually visually. It's like staying out of focus. There we go.
There you go.
So it's actually visually broken down, so you can exercise and actually grade yourself as an entrepreneur. And you can do it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever you decide, and
that's
really
awesome.
kind of understand like how's your own growth, how are you doing on each of the 8 principles. So like you might identify, I'm really starting to suck a little bit at short-term thinking, but I'm doing too good at long-term, or like I'm not focusing enough on the economic side of my business, or I'm putting too much emphasis just on purpose, right? Like, and taking away from other pieces. So the idea is being about a well-rounded entrepreneur and not just a like one-dimensional entrepreneur. Again, almost like an athletic perspective in entrepreneurship.
Right. No, I mean, I think it's great that you're talking about the fact that there's so many different hats that we have to be able to wear, and so many different key areas that we have to focus on, especially when we're just getting started.
Yep.
Or just even not like. You're always just getting started, right? Because you're always trying to expand. You're always trying to get do different things. And if you really, really are an entrepreneur, not just a manager or a great salesperson or something like that, then you're always going to be looking for the next big thing that you can expand into, the next thing that you can get great at, and that your team can get at, and the business will grow from there.
Precisely.
So I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome what you got going on here.
Yeah,
all the people. Are these like friends, family, employees?
So half team members, half friends. Tonight it's gonna be a mix of everyone: team, friends,
That's
family, entrepreneurs, businesses, investors. Actually, looks like one of my clients is back there. I'll have to say hi after. So yeah, it's hey Jason.
Hi Jason.
I'm on camera. Thanks.
Helping out. That's awesome. That is awesome. That means a lot. So, like to me, like when you can have your own clients help out at events and things like that. I think it's great.
Yeah, man. It's I'm very lucky, honestly. Like it's unbelievable the amount of infrastructure I have, and as part of self-awareness is like gratitude. So like entrepreneurship, I think everyone always focuses on the 10% that is like hectic and crazy and stressful and anxiety-ish, but 9% is great. And you sometimes that 10% overrides that 9% in your head, but you have to remember that ratio because that's really what matters.
Yeah, no, I think it's real easy to get caught up in that because it's if I don't have enough money, then I can't pay the bills, and then I'm in trouble, and then I have to go get a job or do something else, or
and it's always
and be in trouble.
Survivorship. You know, entrepreneurship, the line of success and failure is so fine between the two that it really takes a lot of time to realize like how it's like a teetering pole, right? Like that's how it feels.
So what's one lesson that you've learned since being on the show back in earlier this year?
Trying to think of the one because there's so many.
Basically, in 2018, what's one big takeaway that you've gotten to your to learn from yourself, your business, writing a book?
I think the biggest thing that comes to me, I'm trying to figure out the best way to articulate it, is that when you have people in certain positions and like you want to find just straight grade A people where you have full trust in them. Because the second you get like a B player or a C player or D player that requires like micromanagement or constant reassurance or things like that, you kind of set that tone in a culture. But if you have like straight up grade A people in every role and capacity, you're like a well-oiled machine. And it's hard. You got to be very careful with hiring mixed in with. You have to be very patient at the same time because some people are grade A, but it requires a lot of just patience, training, skill. But you also have to be careful that is it training or is it the person not a right fit, right? At the same time, and patience, which is the more difficult aspect, because you don't want to be too patient where it burns you, but you also don't want to be too quick to rash when reality is a great fit. We are still setting up here at the party.
I don't know if you heard all that.
So yeah, I think that would probably be the biggest lesson right there.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up because I was literally just having a conversation with my dad and our manager about A, B, C, and D players and how important it is that, the more A's and B's that you can get, not necessarily in talent because they might, like as you said, they might not be the most talented right out of the gate, and they need to be either trained or taught to, and trained up to that point where they can be not only an A in their go-gettership and their, team meshing ability, but an A in their talent as well.
Yeah, no, it's so difficult because like some people aren't born in the company sense to be an A, but they become an A, right? So it's the hardest thing is like it's your intuition really as an entrepreneur. Do you genuinely believe that person has it, or is your intuition telling you you're being too patient for the sake of really it's the bad move, the wrong hire, right? So you have to kind of find that balance between the two. Yeah,
and so. So how many employees are you up to now? Because I think at the time
we're at 25 at the moment.
I think you were at like 23.
Yeah, we're very close.
Or 22. When you were interviewed like earlier this year.
We've grown this year. We've retained almost about the same talent size, so it's kind of like a mix of the two. I can't help but look back and be like distracted as everything's going on over there. It's so cool.
So question that brought up. So did you figure out where is your event this year? Did you figure out where it was going to be? For your like when you bring all your team members together.
Oh yeah, so
because we were talking about this before, but I wasn't sure.
It's gonna be during the holidays, so we still haven't figured it out yet.
Oh,
yeah. So it's because instead of the summer, the book got taken away during what would usually be our anniversary. So because of that, instead
the boat got taken away.
The book.
Oh, the book got taken.
The book kind of took focus over the summer months, so getting it wrapped up. So yeah, the holiday season is when we're gonna do that this year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're almost at the holidays. We're basically in it.
We are.
I mean, if you turn on the TV, you're in the holiday
December.
season. They're fighting for those dollars
December,
as we speak.
after Thanksgiving.
There's a war being fought right now in the streets out that door for your holiday dollars.
Yeah. They won't get it.
Has there been Has there been a roadblock that you've had to overcome in the last year? That really stands out to you as something, and that maybe I don't know if it's the book or something about the book or your business.
The book was a major obstacle because I think you and I were talking about at one point where the second draft, once I realized it was terrible, I was like, I'm done with the book. I'm not even going to do it. So there was a couple months there where people were asking me, hey, are you still working on the book? I'm like, no, I'm done. Right? Like, because I was that.
You told people you were done.
Yeah, I was like, I'm emotionally done. So,
wow.
But then, because this is actually, when you read it, this isn't a third iteration. It's like a third rewrite, the real version that people have in their hands. So, like, the book went through a full write once, a full write again, and then full one more write before it leads to what you see here.
Jeez, man. And it takes a lot of guts to tell someone that you're done with that. Like, usually I'm just like, well, I shelved it for now. I still want to do it, but it's shelved for now.
I was so, like, after a second, emotionally drained. But I'm not a quitter, so when I started doing it, I'm like, this feels wrong. And I felt too strongly that I wanted this to be in the market. So it didn't end up getting picked back up. But, yeah, there's a couple months there where if you asked me, Josh, how's the book? I'm like, I gave up. I almost in my head genuinely believed that when I was saying it.
Wow. Now, I got a question. If I were to ask your team members, do they feel like the book took too much of your time away from them? And
it depends on which team member. So
oh, boy.
I don't think in design development they would think that way. From a client perspective, I think from marketing, they'll argue that it took away from ChopDawg marketing for book marketing. So I think it depends on who on the team you ask, what their role is, yes or no.
Well, that happens, right? Because we only have so much time and so much money, and you got to pull from somewhere, right?
Yeah, precisely.
So I totally get what you're saying. It happens. And I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
Because that's a very real thing that I've tried to explain to some people, and they just like, well, we just do more. And it's like, yeah, but like literally,
it wasn't.
So much time.
The cool thing about the book, and I have been very public about it, is the book does actually work towards company marketing, which people don't think about, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because if it grows the personal brand, I'm getting.
Well, it's got the colors.
Well, this is my color scheme, right? Like, it's part of my DNA. But like the way I look at it here is that if I'm doing this right, it's going to put a personal brand no matter what, which is going to get me in front of more people who end up going to probably be customers of ChopDawg anyway. So, but it does shift gears a little bit because instead you're focusing on tangible ROI in a business sense, you're thinking more of a strategic long-term move that's a little bit less direct to monitor.
Right. Now, before we wrap up, can you plug all your stuff and the book and ChopDawg and how people can get in touch with you?
This is a book event. I should start with the book. The book is called, and get it in focus.
I got to get out of frame for this to.
There we go.
There we go.
It's the Entrepreneur's Framework, and you can go to entrepreneursframework.com, or you just look at the hashtag The Entrepreneur's Framework. The website's ChopDawg, ChopDawg.com. And it's easy. And then social media, I'm just Joshua on everything. DAS Joshua.
Joshua, thank you so much for taking the time
to
be a guest again in 1 year. Congratulations on the book. Congratulations on this. This looks awesome. I know there was like 100 people, literally like over 100 people that registered to be here at this event coming, and it's starting in about 5 minutes. So I got to clean up this stuff and get everything, get it all wrapped up here. Is there any last thoughts you'd like to share before I wrap up the show?
Find your purpose. So I'm a big believer that it's not about finding passion, but passion acts as like a compass to your purpose, because passion is very fleeting. I think a lot of people find a passion, and then passions can become dormant. You find something new. I mean, think about how many things in your life that you're really into that maybe you're still into, but not as much or enthusiastically, because things priorities change your life.
DJing?
Yes, but
I love it, but I'm not doing it all the time.
Purpose priorities can't even shift purpose, right? So you need to identify where purpose is. So it's one of the biggest things that kind of hit in the book, and it's the very last chapter of the book for a reason.
Oh, Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Usually I would think that would be the first thing in the
No,
in
so
the book.
first is self-awareness, because if you're not self-aware, it really doesn't matter or anything else
What's
in the
your-
book.
yeah.
Precisely. Because like if you're not self-aware, how are you going to find purpose?
That's a very good point. Very good point.
It does have a layout on purpose in the book. They spent a little bit of time on that.
Well, thank you again so much, Joshua.
Thank
I
you,
really
man.
appreciate it being here on the Business Podcast. If you are looking to grow your business in 2019, I'm sponsoring this episode. So for me, I am putting together a mastermind group, my first ever mastermind group for businesses that are looking to grow in 2019, and we're getting started very soon here. So if you want to find out more, go to superjoepardo.com/level-up. It's 3 months long, and there's a lot of interesting people that are already getting involved. So I'm super excited to bring those people together and do a live event down at Oceans Resort at the end of said mastermind. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Josh, thank you again so
Thank you.
much. Appreciate it, man. Congratulations. All the best.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Business Podcast featuring Super Joe Pardo. Get more business content at superjoepardo.com. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on The Business Podcast, send an email to joe@superjoepardo.com. The Business Podcast is copyrighted to 234 Solutions, LLC.